and not actually getting what is needed. If they continue to bring in people that they think are experts, and they're not getting the reason why this mod, some people may need to quit smoking, and other people might need this one, and so forth and so on. Why ego works for some people and not for others. So
yeah, seriously.
The product variability is important. It's just like, any other thing. Some things work for, this vapor and doesn't work for that vapor. So we need the variety to make it a successful tool.
Yeah, so, I mean, as evidence in this, you could put to that effect, this device at this wattage or this tank or so on has helped me quit. And before I found this particular arrangement of devices, be it the battery, variable wattage, variable voltage, the tank, the ohms, all of that craziness, go into extreme detail on all of that stuff and say, until I found all of this configurably set up in this fashion, it did not curb my craving for a cigarette. And my friend had this configuration that found worked good for him, and so on. I mean, it's not scientific evidence, but I think it would apply to what they're asking.
Yeah, I mean, really and truly, the people that they had there really didn't know. And going back, I really don't think like I said, the FDA is the boogeyman in this. They're doing the job that they were, being forced to do by Congress and by the ants groups and everybody else that's bringing out all the negativity. They got kind of painted into a corner, and they had put it off as much as possible. I mean, really and truly, their deeming was supposed to come out the year before last. In October, they came out with a thing saying we're not ready. And then, you had senators and congressmen in the Help Committee holding up bottles of e-juice with cartoon characters on it and telling them they had to do something, they had to do it now. And they came out with what I think is possibly the most ill-informed legal document ever. I mean, they put in there so many times, they don't know, help us, and there was a lot of that. We need to research it more. But we know for a fact that Mitch Zeller said, if every person that smoked now were to switch to one of these products, meaning an electronic cigarette, it would be a victory for public health. So he knows that this is a valuable tool and it will save lives. I mean, he's already said it. So what we have to do is appeal to them in a way that they don't have any pushback from all the people that are forcing their hand in this matter. So at this point, we need to work with the FDA and give them as much data as possible to show the value in us.
Yeah. I just posted up in the chat the actual quote from Mitch Zeller. Any provisions that reduce the number of users of combustible tobacco products would lead to welfare gains.
And that's not actually the post that the comment that I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, there's a few of them.
Yeah,
that's what's surprising.
So he is really aware that this is a safer alternative to a combustible cigarette, and we just need to show that we are A, responsible, and that B, there is research that they're not considering. There's research and there's discussions in vaping that he needs to be made aware of, and that they need to consider. So that is the focus of this call to action, is for everybody to gather as many what you would consider expert conversations that are on the forums, whatever science, whatever studies that you can scrounge up that address the makeup of chemistry and the design and makeup of the hardware. And we're going to have to appeal to the manufacturers of the devices to really address that part of it, because nobody knows more about the engineering of a ProVary than ProVape.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to bring in much more discussion when it comes to how that mod is made, you know, and Evolve, and you know, Brandon at Evolve needs to, you know, also type up a long draft of, you know, what goes into their engineering and why they did this and why they did that. They don't have to give the schematics of their designs and things like that, but you know, give them some thoughtful discussion on the actual makeup and the design of the hardware and why it works the way it works.
We don't need the schematics of the design, no, but we do need the specs in regards to, you know, why the board was designed the way it was, what its intended purpose is, how it functions, what the safety features are, you know, all of that stuff. Like if you were to take, I believe it's Phil Basardo that did the video on how the evolved DNA 40 works, but if you were to take that and transcribe it, and I'm talking to Brandon right now, but if you were to take that and transcribe that whole video into a PDF document and attach that to the FDA comments, that would be incredibly helpful. I mean, it's a huge explanation as to how that functions, and then beyond that, create a PDF onto why we did what we did with all of this, and what the customer demands were, and you know, the customers ultimately demanded all of this. Hold on just a second. I'm going to mute myself. I've got a phone call.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing that needs to go into the comments. You know, we need to have more substantive stuff, more stuff that's more intelligent. You know, obviously there's a place in there for you to put your vape story and why you tried, you know, so many devices, and we all did. I have right now in front of me, I have a really cool House of Hybrids mod on my desk, and I have this little itty bitty DNA 20 mod that, you know, this is cool, and why I need all of this stuff to not smoke. We know that the patches don't work. We know, well, they work for less than 6% of the people that use them. I should say that. They do work for some people. The gum, all that stuff, it works. But for a very small segment of people, there's no product available that works with the success rate that this has. Nothing. This has, you know, unbelievable success rates when it comes to smoking cessation and, you know, substituting this product for your combustible cigarettes. So we need to do everything that we can do to explain to them why it works. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as Cathologist mentioned the UL and CE ratings. UL ratings don't apply unless it's plugged into a wall. So that's why you have wall warts. The wall warts themselves have to be UL rated, but the device that it plugs into does not. And CE ratings I'm not terribly familiar with, but a lot of the stuff that comes out of China that has the UL and CE ratings on them, I question that and how they got that, and whether or not that's actually like there's truth in advertising there. But as far as mods go, again, you know, just a simple statement on the fact that a SIG-alike, and when you say SIG-alike, make sure that you explain what you mean by that. Something that looks like a cigarette, but it's an electronic device that looks like a cigarette and puffs. You know, so an explanation that in and of itself, the battery life is too short. It's far too expensive. It's not satisfying on, you know, however many levels. It's not satisfying for you, and that the extended battery life of the larger battery devices and the options in all of the different size battery devices have helped you pick and choose, you know, where you can choose a mod that lasts you all day. You don't have to worry about charging it. You don't have to worry about refilling your tank, or perhaps you prefer to drip, whatever. But get real specific, nitty-gritty details on how the particulars of these devices and atomizers and tanks have helped you hone in on what your preference is with vaping and helped you quit smoking.
Yeah, because, I mean, really and truly, when this docket, or not docket, when they actually released the information back in, I think it was October, that they were going to have this workshop, when you looked at all of the bullet points that they were going to discuss, I mean, that specifically was targeted at hardware and variability of the hardware and the e-juice, the constituent chemicals, what happens when they're mixed together, blah blah blah. So this alert, this, you know, open docket that we need to comment on specifically needs to focus on those areas.
Yeah, and you're right, Cathologist. A history of vaping and the progression of the technology in vaping over the last, I mean, what, it's been 7-8 years now. I mean, that's like nothing, but it's progressed so far in the last 7 or 8 years. It would be really cool to have like a chronology of that. And perhaps that's something I could work on is like the stages and the major developments. I mean, for me, when I started back in 2010, all we had was SIG-alikes. The ego didn't exist at that point. I mean, we didn't even have a freaking ego, right? It was SIG-alikes, or there were a few mods on the market at that point, and basically you were putting a SIG-alike Addy onto a bigger battery, and that was it. And yeah, I mean, to explain that, you know, we've come so far with the technology and these different atomizers, these different tanks that developed in late 2010 and 2011, and then the progression of the tanks, the progression of the battery devices, all of that, even for each one of us to create our own little, I'm not talking about something huge, but just you know, maybe one page of the vaping history. Again, every different page that we submit to the FDA, they have to read. So I could make one, and you could copy and paste it on the PDF. But if they've already read it, they may not read it again. They may just go, "Oh, okay, we've already seen this one," and skip on. So, you know, and you may have a different story, or a different version of events and the progression of the mods. So, you know, that wouldn't take very long to put together, but it definitely would be helpful.
And I wanna throw something out there. There is an alert, or you know, on the CASAA website. we have to realize that the FDA doesn't get to decide about the grandfather date. We're all aware that the grandfather date is the date that is established that anything after this date has to go through a completely different process to get substantial equivalency. Well, there is no substantial equivalency, excuse me, after that date. They have to go through a completely different application process. So the only people that can change that date is Congress. So what we need to do is act on the last alert that, if we haven't already done so, that specifically asks Congress to go through and change that grandfather date, because it does require an act of Congress to change that date. So
yeah,
we actually still need people to respond to that, because that would make it a lot easier for newer products that are on the market if they would bump that up. Because let's face it, a clearomizer that was out, and I don't even believe there was any clearomizers out before the grandfather date, but you know, these new ones that are coming out, these sub-ohm tanks, these new sub-ohm tanks that everybody's using, these don't qualify. So all of the new stuff, and this is stuff that's just been released in the last 4 or 5 months. I don't remember when the original, the Atlantis, or when any of those tanks came out. But after, other than that, that Cigalite, that's the only thing that actually qualifies. And there's some question as to even whether the Cigalites that are made now would even match substantially or equivalently enough to qualify.
Yeah.
So that's important to keep in mind, that we still, if you haven't responded and dealt with that, we need to really hammer that home too, because
the
FDA doesn't have the authority to change the grandfather date. Only Congress can do that.
On that note, everything that you submit to the FDA in the FDA comments, copy and paste that into an external letter, along with all of your attachments, and send that to your congressman, and letterhead it with, this is what I've sent as far as the FDA comments on electronic cigarettes. I want you to read this and understand that I'm a vapor, and this is what helps me. And that, because like my congressman and my senator are both on our side. I'm fortunate enough to have a congressman and a senator that they are both on our side, and they both feel that those decisions should be made by elected officials and not FDA, because the FDA is not elected officials. And I think that's fantastic. I mean, I've gotten a really good reception from both of them, and I plan on copy and pasting all of this to them so that they know what's going on, they know what I've written, and I'll probably get a form letter back, and that's fine. But it lets them know. It's one more letter sounding our voice and ringing the bell.
Exactly. So, there are quite a few letter writing campaigns. If you go to the VapingMilitia.org website, I've written quite a few blogs, and you may actually have to scroll through to get to some of the older blogs, where there are my examples of letters that I have written to my politicians, and really and truly, you can, and I'm not telling you to cut and paste that, but you can use that as a roadmap and tailor it, because what I do is I use the same letter and I make changes to it to make it issue specific, and I keep that on my computer, so when I go to do this one, all I have to do is cut and paste it into a new file, and tailor it for this specific issue, and then add whatever I need to add, and then it evolves over time. But really and truly, you need to go to Google or Yahoo and type in find my representative, and I think that's the findmyrepresentative.com. You type in your zip code and it gives you the contact information for everybody that represents you. And if you have to go to their website to do the contact me, go to their website and do the contact me. Click on that and then cut and paste your letter right into that, and it gets right to them. You know, that's important because A, you're a voter, and most of the time, most voters are what we call single issue voters. You know, the pro-life people are going to vote for the pro-life candidate, so forth and so on. So we need to find out who the pro-vaping candidates are, and we need to let them know that we appreciate that they're taking our opinions into place and into thought. And we also need to find out the anti-vaping guys, and we need to amplify them. We need to hit their Twitters. We need to hit their Facebooks. You know, the beauty of Twitter is once the tweet is out, they can't delete it. All they can do is delete their account. And the ones that are anti-vaping, we need to let them know that, hey, this is important, and my vote, come the next time there's an election, is going to be decided on this one issue. Because we know for a fact the numbers that are coming to us of the number of people that are actual vapers is much higher than what we had previously been told. And that's taking into account that there are plenty of people that the CASAA works for, and there are a lot of those guys out there that go to the convenience store and buy their blue or buy their views or buy their enjoy, and that makes them happy and fine, and that's great. But we need to actually reach out to those vapers and let them know, hey, you need to help us. And if you don't want to go back to smoking, because those cigarettes may not fall into the substantial equivalency pathway, you need to do this stuff too. But anyway, back to the FDA stuff. FDA has said that they're going to come out with their information sometime in June or July, possibly. It's very tentative and we don't know. But we need to respond to these things before the deadline. We need to put some thought into our comments and what information we send them. And it may take a couple days, a week, you know, to go through and do your Google searches and to scan your threads on ECF and Vaping Underground and all the different forums that are out there, to find the relevant stuff, to find the important discussions, and to pick out the most thoughtful ones, and make sure that it's not rhetoric. Make sure that it is, you know, substantive, and it covers those areas, the hardware and the e-juice makeup.
Right. Cathologist has brought up some good points here on finding your legislator and stuff like that. I just want to do a little plug here for NVC. If you haven't seen the VHQ yet, the vaping headquarters, I'm going to post the link up in the chat here real quick. It's really cool. You go to this page and you click on your state, and you can we'll be updating the advocacy groups by state over the next couple weeks, couple months. We're going to be contacting the advocacy groups by state. You can find your state legislators real quick, and once we get in touch with all the state groups, we'll be able to find local legislators and local legislation. You'll be able to know what's going on in your state, and get sign up for our email list. and you'll be able to get all the notifications on what's going on there. There's a whole lot of information on the VHQ. I mean, a ton of information on the VHQ, and it's very, very easy to find everything that you need to find on there. So,
and to tell you the truth, that's going to be a very important tool that NVC is making available for the state groups to help grow themselves and to get the word out as it needs to get out. So yeah, that's gonna be a very important thing, that if your state group is not on there yet, that you contact. I'm looking at my monitor. I'm pointing at you, Matt. Point at Matt, so that they know your state group is active, and they will link it up so that your stuff gets there and their stuff gets there. It's going to be evolving over time, and it's going to be an exciting tool that we all are going to be able to use as a weapon against the ants and against the government and against the FDA and against all the bad guys.
Just a little more information on the VHQ as far as the state groups and stuff. Basically, what we've done is we've bought a very comprehensive version of the CQ roll call, and we're opening it up for free for state groups to come in and build their own database of recipients and mailing lists for calls to action in their own state. So if you are involved in a state advocacy group or you're heading up a state advocacy group, you can manage your own page, your own list of recipients for calls to action. You can post local calls to action, state calls to action. Basically, you will have all of the tools that CASAA uses for a national level, which is fantastic, but you will be able to have all of those tools and more for your own state, and we're offering this for free. So please inform your state advocacy group that, contact us and get involved in this. We'll set them up with CQ roll call, give them the tutorial on how to start up the engagements, how to start up the database, get their advocacy groups involved, create their own mailing lists. It's really, really powerful. Our legislators are actually, if you're not familiar with CQ roll call, our legislators are actually quite afraid of this software. It's intimidating to them because it's very effective. So get involved in that and to its fullest extent. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool.
Yeah. So yeah, I really think that everybody that's here, I know Kath is very active and Lisa Bell's very active. There's quite a lot of people in the chat room right now that are very active in their states. Definitely go to and share that so that we can get people signed up for it. So when we do an engagement or we do ask for somebody to do something, that they're already listed. That's important because you may not check it daily, but if you're signed in to it, you'll get an alert. You'll get an email. Something's going on in California, Kath, or something's going on in, I think Lisa Bell's in Michigan.
Yep.
And those people, those people that we know that are active can get the word out to the people that are in their groups, that are, it needs to spread. Now,
it's a more targeted way to engage on local issues. Right now we have the ability to engage on all the state issues, but if we get the state advocacy groups involved, they can actually plug in local, like city and county bans that are coming up, and get the city vapers and the county vapers involved in the advocacy movements and the committee hearings and all of that, and target specific groups of people to react on this. And we need we need to build this database and utilize, like I said, utilize this enormously wonderful tool to its fullest potential as quickly as possible.
Right. And we're not taking any attention away from the FDA thing. Everybody needs to do that. It's important. It needs to happen. And you need to put some thought into it. This is not something that you're just going to sit in front of the computer at the last minute and do. So you need to prepare. You need to, like I said, scan through your forums, go through and do searches on Google. And, like I said, we have a pretty good legislative packet that you can download from either, they have their packet that they use at NVC. The Militia, if you go to the VapingMilitia.org and scroll down to the side, there's a tab that says Studies. If you click on that study and you download the one that's called Info Packet, Info Packet has 10 very comprehensive and very well put together studies that you can use. They address everything from usage patterns to hardware to constituent chemicals in e-juice, nicotine issues. It's all there. Secondhand contact is there. So there's a lot of stuff in there that you need to use, and you can use those as kind of a guide to go and find more stuff. I know that there is a Google Drive somewhere that somebody linked me to the other day that has probably 500 different studies in there, and other things, articles and things like that. So that's important that you download those, and if they're not already in a PDF format, you save them in PDF format. If you give them an excuse not to read it, if you send it to them as a GIF file, maybe, I don't know, they may, I don't think that would be difficult for them, but we don't want to make it hard for them, so put it in PDF format.
Like, don't send abstracts, send the entire PDF of the entire research paper. Right. And if there's a research paper that you're looking at that you only see the PDF, feel free to contact me or Nacht, Vape Militia, and I'll do my best to get it for you. I actually have an in at the CDC, believe it or not, and I can pull any research paper you need. So if you see an abstract of something that looks interesting to you, even if you don't know what the full thing is, feel free to email me. I'll put my email up again, and I'll see if I can pull it.
If you know any college students that have access to the college library, the colleges actually subscribe to the what's it called? Medline or Medscape or Med something, that actually all of these studies go into. So if you know anybody that's a college student that has access, you can always go to the college library and either A, print it out and scan it, or B, just download it onto a zip drive or a finger drive, whatever the hell they're called. One of these USB things. It's really important.
There's the link to the Google. There's the link to the Google Drive in the chat.
Is that the one? Is that the one? This may be it. This may not be the one, but if Kath has it, it's probably
That looks like the one.
It's probably.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that's the one.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Now there are things in here, obviously, that may or may not be useful, but you know what? You can download them all, and there's even another one here that's the master list RTA. It's a rich text file with links to other stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is an awesome tool that we can use, because everything, like we said a while ago, even if it's not the most substantive thing, they have to read it anyway. So
yeah,
it's not going to hurt to send it to them, as long as it's not like we talked about earlier. if it's not a calm, intelligent discussion from ECF or from Vaping Underground, you may not want to use that. But if somebody's in there, and I know that there's a really thorough discussion on nicotine on ECF that I always send everybody to when discussing, you know, the tomato extracted or eggplant extracted or nightshade family, that explains why nicotine is not extracted. So that's important that we hit that, you know, because there are plenty of people out there making that comment, and eventually FTC is going to climb up somebody's ass. But right now, we need to focus on this other stuff. We need to focus on the hardware, how it works, why it works the way it works. And, you know, you're allowed to throw in your personal thing. I smoked for 30 years.
And encouraged. I mean, honestly, I encourage you to do that, but you have to back it up with something, you know? Don't just say vaping saved my life, period, done, sent. That's not going to be effective.
So, you know, I smoked for 30 years. I tried everything that was available. None of it worked. Some of it had negative side effects, blah, blah, blah. I found a CASAA, and it worked immediately for me, but over time, it wasn't as effective, so I moved on to more powerful devices that gave me the options of tailoring to achieve the most satisfaction, and that is why I am not a smoker anymore. The variability of the hardware, being able to adjust it for my needs at that time, because there are times where I can vape 12 and I'm totally fine, but I also need the availability of 18, because on high stress days I go to 18.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. I mean, just the weaning process. You know, when I started in 2010, I was vaping 36 milligram on a CASAA, and I wasn't feeling it. You know, it wasn't doing anything for me. And now I vape at 3 milligram after 5 years of vaping, and 3 milligrams satisfies. And honestly, I could go down to 0 if I really, really wanted to. I'd probably go down to 0, and it wouldn't hurt me. Now, I don't know if I would tell the FDA that, but
no, but it needs to be stated that the nicotine variability, the availability of different levels of nicotine is important, because on normal days I can do X, and I'm not one of those people that plan on completely weaning right now. I'm able to vape 12 and 18, and I'm happy with it. I don't drip, so 3 and 6 would never do it for me. There's the Enjoy CASAA, and we don't want to say anything bad about Enjoy's product, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are right now. They're the ones that made it possible for us to continue to vape. If it wasn't for the CASAA decision,
honestly, this has got to be one of the most satisfying, short break, couple puffs. Wow, I've got a cigarette buzz products. I mean, these guys nailed it with this. I mean, I hated that it's a short battery life and all of that, but if you need a little quick fix, I mean, for the smoker out there that's trying to quit, this is fantastic, and this does need to be available. So don't knock this.
No, there are plenty of people that product works perfectly fine for, and we need to make sure that product is available, just like the open systems that we use. There's no reason why the government needs to mess around with something that's working. The problem is there are people in the industry that are big companies tobacco companies, and you know, they put it in their comment when they, you know, when REI, which is R.J. Reynolds' vapor company, their vapor division, when REI sent their comment to the FDA, there are quite a few places in there where they are telling FDA that you need to ban open systems right now because of X, Y, and Z. So they are there to promote their product and to destroy competition. But Enjoy has not done that. Enjoy has stood beside us in every city, in every state. So we're not going to knock that product. We're not going to knock them because they've been doing the right thing. And we always promote businesses that do the right thing.
Well, it's not so much, and I understand me when I say this. It's not so much the businesses. Yes, we will support the businesses that do the right thing, but it really comes down to the product. And is the product helping you quit? You know, I mean, if Vuse is helping someone quit, I you know, shoot me for saying this, but Vuse is big tobacco. But if Vuse is helping someone quit, it's helping someone quit.
Exactly.
You know, and if we could switch them over to an Enjoy and they can like it just as much, that's a good thing. But you know, it is the variability of products. There needs to be this variability of products.
Everybody is different, and what works for one person may not work for another person. But I can guarantee you, if they remove the variability factor and they take away, you know, rebuildables, and they you know, only let you use pre-filled product, there are going to be a lot of people that are not going, and I'm not worried, you know, I'm not so much, there are a lot of people that are vapors now that have gotten to the point where they could probably walk away from vaping and not go back to smoking. What about all those smokers that are still smoking right now, but in the future may make the choice to continue or to not continue smoking and to move over to this product? If this product is not available, it's not going to work for them. They're going to, you know, all the same stuff. You know, there are a lot of people that started vaping with a cigalike and it didn't work for them, and they went back to smoking, and a year later they bumped into somebody. When we were in Vegas, standing in line to go see Cirque du Soleil, I was vaping. And a guy walks up to me from Philadelphia and says, "Hey, I tried that and it didn't work. Is it working for you?" And I said, "I haven't smoked a cigarette in 3 years." It works, but you have to find the right combination of products, the right flavors, the right hardware, you know, the right tank or whatever to make it work. So we need to make sure that in the future that these products are available for those people that will transition.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good point. I've run into several people that have said, you know, I tried that and it didn't work, and then I gave them a kit that I knew was more effective, and they're like, "Thank you. This is good. This is working for me." You know, the PG allergy thing. I have a PG allergy, and a lot of the cigalikes, the cartridge-based stuff, it has a lot of PG in it. And I had to explain, well, if you've got an irritated throat, you need to go with a more premium e-juice, something that's more BG rich. And I give them a bottle of our line, and they try that, and they're like, "Oh, this is much better. This is much smoother. It's not irritating my throat." And again, that goes back to variability of product and the variability of ingredients in the juice. You know, some people are going to have the PG problem, and some people have a problem with VG. I mean, it just depends.
Actually, Wolf Tech, we can't address that because neither one of us are. I mean, we're members of CASAA as consumers and as users of e-cigarettes, but none of us are official.
I can't speak for CASAA.
Board of directors or anything like that. I can tell you that the militia's standpoint is it should not be available to minors specifically because of the arguments that the government have made. That we are a gateway to other products, to tobacco, which is asinine and full of shit. But as far as it goes, there is there is some basis in science for the effect of nicotine on undeveloped brains, and so it is our stance that minors should not be able to purchase it. Now, what a parent decides for their child is not our place. But a minor should not be able to go into a vape shop and purchase. And I think you can probably read in between the lines on that. We really don't think the government should be making any choices for families, and that it should be the family's decision. And we'll just leave it at that.
In their own home, yes. In their own home. It should be your own decision.
But yes, it's disruptive and damaging to the industry for shops to get in trouble for selling to underage vapers. So
yeah, I mean, as a shop owner myself, I will tell you, we do not sell to any underage people in the store. I mean, period. We do not. We card. But what you choose to do with it after you leave the store is your own business. I will say that.
So, yeah, I mean, officially, we don't support it. But also, if I had children, and I know quite a few people that are in here that do have children. So no, right now, age restriction is something that we are promoting just because, nicotine use is damaging to undeveloped brains, and B, it's irresponsible. So your question is about possession.
Yeah.
And yes, public possession is bad because kids do stupid things. If you listen to our
public possession is different. Public possession is very different than private possession. I mean, think about public drunkenness and getting drunk in your house. There's two very different things going on there.
So, if you listen to our radio show, we've discussed it several times in the last couple months where kids take their gear to school. We've had 2 schools that were locked down because of batteries venting and exploding during school, which is a ridiculous thing, and kids do stupid things. So yes, they shouldn't have possession of them outside of home for sure. And the other part is a family decision that we're not going to have an opinion on. But it's damaging for the industry, for shops to sell to kids, period.
Absolutely.
It gets put on the evening news. We had a shop recently sell to underage kids on camera, and it just looks bad. So yeah, if you're a parent and you decide to give it to your kid, then they need to keep it at home where they can be supervised and not take it to school and have it explode and show it off to their friends, because how many fucking kids how many kids are killed every year because they take a gun to school, or they're showing it to their friends even in their own home, and it wasn't locked or whatever. That's a parental responsibility issue, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the FDA thing that we're focusing on. But yes, it's important to be aware of what's going on. So, does anybody have any questions about the FDA thing? And I'm going to put my Vaping Militia email in the chat. If you have any specific questions over the next couple of days in regards to the... I can't type my own address. That's crazy.
I vape hard, man. I vape real hard. Don't ask me to slow down.
if you have any specific questions, because we're going to do a series of these broadcasts. This is the first, and it was kind of jumpy around, and we had some technical difficulties at the beginning because I really don't ever broadcast. But everybody else is either still working or out of town. We need to address these questions. So if you have a specific question about this FDA docket in regards to the first workshop, send me the specific question, and the next time we go on, I will address your questions that you've emailed me. And obviously, we'll put it in our group, and we'll spread it around social media as much as we can, that we're going to go live. And if you have questions, you can throw it in the chat room. But we specifically want to make sure that the comments to this docket thing get done properly, so that it gives them more information, and we follow the guidelines needed to make sure that they have to address it. And we specifically are targeting hardware design, hardware usage, variability of hardware, and the importance of that stuff, and e-juice chemistry.
I'm going to post the, I don't know if you have it on hand there, but I'm going to post the link to the FDA comments.
I do, but you can go ahead and do it.
I got time for it.
It doesn't record the chat. It's only the video, Malice.
Almost there, almost there.
And we may, if I learn how to use this software better, we may do an open hangout where people can come in and ask their questions on the video. Like I said, this is only the first time I've actually ever did a hangout broadcast. So, this is new for me, and warts and all, this will go up on YouTube. Tonight's show will have to go on as part 1 and part 2 because I had to restart my computer, but I don't care. The information needs to get out there. We need to, energize the vapors and get them active. It's always funny. We were at Vape Blast in Dallas this past weekend, and we always see this. Everybody goes to a vape meet and they get really excited. They want to sign up. They want to do whatever they can do, and they email me or whatever right after the show, and then after maybe a week or two, the excitement dies down and they're not as active. So we need to make sure that we get the excitement up, because 2015 has already started to kick our asses, and we're only into March. All these other issues, the states and the local issues, are going to continue to happen. So we need to make sure that we do what we need to do. Because if we sit around and do nothing, I can guarantee you that we do not have to wait until the FDA finishes. That the states and the local stuff is already going to destroy vaping before we even get a chance to fight the FDA. That was a downer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's an uphill battle. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's definitely an uphill battle, and we got to do what we got to do. I mean, I'll be honest, as a vendor, I'm not going to lie. I have a plan B. I have an out. I mean, you got to, because if enough of us don't get together and start yelling and screaming and making our voices heard, bad things could definitely happen. So
Malice asks, okay, so where does one go from there?
There's a comment. There's a comment button, comment now button on the upper right.
But before you even go to that docket, before you do anything, you gather your stuff, get your thoughts together, and write your comment. And
yeah,
there are people that are going to say, well, I don't write stuff very good, and blah, blah, blah. Well, Alex from CASAA mentioned to me the other day that there is a tool, if you use Google Drive and you type your stuff into a Google document there, that it allows other people to help you, and B, there are grammatical tools that will help you fix your grammar, and spelling tools that will help you fix your spelling. I think Microsoft Word does that too, but you know.
No, you're in line with if you go to, I'll post this up here in a second, but if you look at the consumer packet from NBC, we have tutorials on how to write a letter to your legislators, and also some of our suggestions are to open a Google Doc and form small groups of 3 or 4 and actually collaborate on Google Docs with your own letters, and hold advocacy meetings at your local vape shops. I'm going to be holding one.
That there's at least one person. Like I said, I guarantee there's at least one person that's a grammar Nazi that will help you.
Yeah.
And what we did last year for the FDA
local vape shops and group up and help each other write letters, and you can help each other write 3 individual letters of 3 people in your group. And we're going to be holding one at Steam Sigs in the next week or so, exactly on this topic, and doing exactly that, is tutoring people on how to write an effective letter, what to say, what the talking points should be, what links to everything we've just discussed in this whole show here will be touched on a local level at my store. So please contact your local stores and advocacy groups and try and get your local stores to have a little meeting and encourage their customers to do this.
Yeah, and what we did last year and what we'll probably do this year is we're here for you anytime you need us. Hopefully it's not during 9 to 5 because I work, but in the evenings, if you Facebook friend me and then hit me with a private message, we will do what we can to help you build your letters. Last year we got into Google Hangouts, and we went over it with people. We'll start a Google document with you. The good thing about Google document is that multiple people can edit your document simultaneously. So you can be writing, and then I can be going right behind you and fixing your grammar and helping you target what you need to target in your letter. We will fine tune it. We'll get it ready, and then obviously with the data that you've already collected, if you're going to go out and find the studies and find the threads on ECF and the other forums, Vaping Underground, and all those different places that are places where people discuss this stuff. I can guarantee you there is thoughtful discussion going on in some of those threads. Find it, cut and paste it into a document, and PDF it. That way you have that, and we can send it to them, and hopefully we can change their minds a little bit, at least enough that Dr. Farsalinos is invited to this, or Brandon from Evolve, or the chip manufacturing people, the Pro Vape, those people that make that stuff. And I've seen Pro Vape, I've seen what they do when they go into engineering their device and testing their device and stuff. That needs to get to them. The government needs to know how much work is put into it and forethought is put into it, in the actual engineering behind it, so that they know that these companies are doing the right thing when it comes to safety, and the reason the variability needs to be there. Why variable voltage and variable wattage exists is because people wanted it. I can guarantee you they wouldn't have spent the money to do this had not somebody asked for it. Tim getting all agitated, my hands are moving.
Yeah, and as as he said, we're going to be posting this up on YouTube. I'm going to rewatch this. I haven't been able to take notes this whole time, but I'm going to rewatch this, take notes, form bullets on this this meeting, and basically put that out there along with PDFs, or not PDFs, links to the PDFs of research and certain picks that me and Malice make. Malice is my team member on NBC. We do a lot of the writing for NBC and put together call to actions and stuff like that, the legislative packet and all of that, and we have a lot of fun doing that for you guys. So we're going to be working on that and get that out to you guys by early next week. So you basically have a brief synopsis of what was going over in this during this whole video in writing, so that you can just pull from that and create your comments based on the talking points and stuff that we've discussed in this little show here.
Yeah, you know, John 73MC, John states that all of this is overwhelming, and he's got a little worried emoticon with sweat coming. That's why we're here to help you. We will do everything that we can to help you build a good comment and to give you, you know, places where you can find good things to attach, good science and good, you know, discussions and good everything to make it more substantive and targeted, because this is very specific what CASAA is asking us to do, and we need to put as much thought into it as we can to make it hit the bullet points that are set out. And it, you know, if we reach,
well, not just that, not just that, groups like Militia and NBC. I mean, we spend countless hours trying to make advocacy easy for you.
Yeah.
And if you go to Militia's website or NBC's website or CASAA's website and you just click around a little bit, you'll find that, you know, finding your state legislators is super easy on these sites. Finding the research is super easy. Finding talking points is super easy. So don't be overwhelmed. Just know that there are tons of resources out there and tons of people, you know, spending countless hours to try and make this not overwhelming for you. So just visit those websites. Visit Militia's website. Visit NBC's website. And visit CASAA's website, and just try and pull together whatever you can. Whatever you can will help.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the only wrong step is not taking a step, you know?
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as a stupid question. If it's something that you don't know, a question asked, any question that's asked is important. And obviously, if you put something in there that is thoughtful and you know, it has evidence, even if it's a little evidence, even if it's, you know, we just don't want people going on there and wasting their comment with a, well, vaping works for me and you're a duty head for trying to stop me from vaping, you know, will be helpful. And if we get, you know, the Vaping Militia, we have around 8,000 members on our Facebook group. If half of those people put in substantive comments, and, you know, however many people NVC have, if half of them put in substantive comments, and half of the people that are in CASAA do the same thing, then we've got to win, you know. I'm putting a link in to the thing. This is a blog that I wrote specifically about activating a letter campaign to your representatives. But there is a sample letter there that I wrote that I use. Obviously, I don't want you cut and pasting it. I want you to cut and paste it and then go and edit it and make it yours. You know, make it yours, and then add the points that we're talking about. Add the e-juice, add the hardware variability. Why is it important? And then we can add the articles, we can add the studies, we can add the discussions. Those are all important things. The reason that we're doing this is so that they will consider bringing in some of the known real experts on vaping, not, you know, the people that they brought into this workshop. They need to allow evidence that is factual. Obviously, they brought in people that didn't really know what the hell they were doing. So we will help you make this happen. Any more questions? So what we're going to do, we need to set a tentative day where we, you know, maybe next week we'll do another one of these broadcasts when people have thought about it for a few days. Maybe they'll come up with other questions. By then everybody should have put a little thought into it, maybe glanced over some threads, looked through the science information that Kath included in her link, and we will possibly, well, sometime in the next couple days, I'll author a blog on TheVapingMilitia.org discussing everything that we discussed with all of the relevant links that we discussed in this video, that you can go to and actually look at the stuff that the people in the chat room were able to look at.
Yeah. I'm going to copy and paste the chat room myself so that I can reference it as right. Well.
Because over time the chat will disappear. But yeah, we are here to help you. It may take us a day or so to get back to you when you ask for help, but we will respond. So make sure when you're putting together your stuff that you know, open it in a Word file, type it up, get everything as complete as you can, and then we will go over it with you if necessary.
Yeah. You are not alone, and we are not alone.
Nope.
There are vapors out there.
The whole point of the militia and the whole point of NVC is to give you, the vapors, the tools that you need. Because, you know, we can't always be where you are. And more than likely, if we were to go and defend vaping in your local city, they're not going to listen to us anyway because we're not voters in their districts and we don't pay taxes there. Our whole purpose is to educate you so that you can do that, so that you can go to City Hall, so that you can defend vaping, and we educate you. So I think for now, we're going to sign off. I think maybe a good time next week probably would be a Wednesday evening. If it's not going to happen, we'll broadcast, or we'll spread it around on social media what the actual day is going to be that we're going to do this again, and hopefully you guys will be able to spread the word a little bit and let everybody know that, you know, the help is there and that this is very important and that everybody that's vaping should put some time in, actually do this call to action. If we don't do it, then obviously they're not going to consider our thoughts. But if everybody piles in and hammers them with stuff, they can't ignore us.
Yeah, talk to your local vape stores, talk to your local advocacy groups, spread the word about the next show. Tell people to go to the Vaping Militia and their Facebook page to find out when it's going to be. Let's pack as many people in here on the next show so that we can really spread the word on the next show, and then we might even have another follow-up show after that. You never know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, let's do this thing, guys. Let's make our voices heard.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you again. Stay out of trouble and vape safe. Yeah, I used your product. That's a product placement.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
I'm glad I'm not here by myself. So, you know, maybe next week we'll have Malice and we'll have more members of the militia and we'll sucker somebody else, you know, some other advocate to come in and help us with this.
That would be really cool.
Alrighty. Later, people.